A couple weeks ago I competed in round 2 of the Club 100 Junior Northern Championship at Whilton Mill. This day was filled with changing weather conditions, battles, overtakes and chaos, so make sure to stay tuned until the end. Before we get into the video, I set up a Discord server where we will be doing some community races and stuff, so make sure to join to be a part of it. I was pretty excited for this event, as not only was I able to practice this track on my simulator, I also had a chance to do a test day in my own cars a few weeks before this race, so I was able to try out the new-ish chicane in real life. We're not doing Friday practice this time, so we're going straight into the race day on Saturday. I still haven't had a fully dry day in Club 100 yet, and that's going to continue this round. I didn't take any videos of it in the morning, but it had been raining for 1 or 2 hours before the session started while we were signing on, having the briefing and going on track walks. It did stop raining just as the cadets went out before us, so the track's going to keep drying and get faster each lap. Because Whilton Mill is a very popular circuit and has been there for a while now, it means that there is an insane amount of rubber on the track surface. This means that when it rains, there's basically zero grip on any part of the track, so this practice session I was just experimenting with the line to see what worked. Some of them worked really well, others did not, but my times were looking somewhat competitive, although on what would have been my best lap I was slowed down, avoiding the guy ahead, so I wasn't able to improve. By the time quali came around, the track was mostly dry. There was a puddle at the apex of turn 2 which we had to avoid, and 1 or 2 of the curbs are still slippery, so I had to avoid them as well. This time, I decided that instead of letting people by to get a better track position like I did at Silverstone, I was just going to push the whole session and find my place that way, and this definitely worked a lot better. However, now that the track is dry, you can clearly see the difference the weight makes down the straights. For those of you that don't know, I'm quite tall, and with the extra height comes extra weight, which means that I'm at a big disadvantage most of the time. Now I definitely don't want it to seem like I'm making excuses, but just look at this here. I get a much better exit out of the final corner than the kart ahead, and they still pull 4 or 5 kart lengths away, and this is on one of the shorter straights, not even the super long uphill one shortly after. I don't really let this annoy me, as there's nothing I can do about it for now. I'll just need to wait until next season in the seniors, but as you'll see in the races in a few minutes, it can be quite frustrating. After spending pretty much the whole session stuck behind this slower kart, I was able to overtake on the penultimate lap, which meant I had a one-shot style quali lap. I basically had to sight read this lap, as I think I only got 1 traffic free time before this, so I still wasn't 100% sure where the grip was. So definitely not ideal conditions, but I was able to do a 59.3, which I was pretty happy about given the circumstances. This time put me P20 out of 25 in my group. This means that I'm starting P18 out of 29 in the B final. I wasn't sure how the race was going to go, because my race pace is usually much better than my quali pace. However, seeing the times the others were gaining down the straights meant it was going to be difficult to make places and move up the field. So jumping ahead to the race start, my row got one of the worst starts you'll ever see. For some reason the person ahead of me waited to put down the throttle, which meant that pretty much everybody behind us on the other row got ahead. There was some chaos at turn 2 which gained me a couple places, so by the end of the first lap I was back up to where I started, but watching it back, if we can start the next race properly, we can definitely make up a few more places in the final. On lap 2, it looks like one of the karts ahead of me has an issue and slows down. As they slowed in front of me, it meant the kart behind is able to get ahead. At the end of the lap, a kart ahead pulls into the pits, which puts me up a place, which means I was back into P18. One of the karts behind me made a big send into turn 3, but I was able to get the switch back and stay ahead. I was running side by side, but the driver on the outside was a ton of understeer and ran wide into the barrier. I was hoping this would allow me to get a bit of a gap to the cars behind, but there was a yellow flag a few corners after, which meant we all had to slow down. It did mean I moved up another place into P17. On the next lap, you can really see how much time I'm losing down the straights, and I got overtaken once into turn 6, and then nearly again entering the final sector, but I was able to hold it around the outside, which then turned into the inside and keep the place. But then I'm just a sitting duck into the straight into turn 1, and he's able to get ahead of me before we even turn into the corner. Then the driver behind is able to catch up down the straight to turn 3, but he outbrakes himself again and is able to keep the place. A couple laps later, I'm under threat again, but I'm able to keep the speed around the outside and hold on to the position. For the rest of the race, I was just defending when needed and trying to build a gap to the cars behind, which I was able to do quite well. Then on the penultimate lap, I got a big snap through the final corners, which allowed the driver behind to catch right back up again. I was able to keep them behind and barely stay ahead of the line by just over half a tenth. This meant I finished P19 on track, but after penalties were applied, I was bumped up into P17. This meant I would be starting P15 for the B final on the inside. In between the pre-final and the B final, it started pouring with rain and hail. With 30 minutes until my race, it somehow all dried up before we went out though. But I heard the races before were quite chaotic, so I wasn't sure what to expect going into this one. For the B final, I'm starting on the left hand side this time, which so far has had the better starts, and I was able to hold position into turn 1. But then going down the straight into turn 3, I was overtaken, which took me back down to P16. By the end of the lap, I was up into P12, which is where I stayed for a few laps, but then on lap 4, I was overtaken. And after some hard battling on lap 5, I was overtaken again just before the final corner. Now that we were about halfway through the race, I knew it wouldn't be possible to move forward given how much time I was losing down the straights, so I decided to drive defensively and do my best to hold position. There was a yellow flag, and as we went green again, I was able to overtake into sector 3, but it turned out to be a lapped kart, so we're still in P15. I was able to make a small gap to the karts behind, about half a second, but I was immediately overtaken down the straight into turn 3. With just a few minutes to go, I was driving super defensively, but I was passed by P16 into turn 2. Afterwards, I was able to hold on to the position to finish P16. I was pretty happy at this as I showed good pace and I was just losing too much time down the straight, so I wasn't really able to move forwards. Next round is GYG, which I'm looking forward to. It's probably going to be even worse with the straights as there's an absolutely massive straight uphill into turns 2 and 3, but I'll do my best. GYG is where I had my first esports race, where I managed to come 5th, racing against a couple Club 100 champions actually. Thanks for watching, make sure to like and subscribe, join the Discord server, and I'll see you in the next one.